everyone, welcome back to another educational video with us here at Yellowwood Wealth Solutions. I'm Mara, and I'm really excited about today's video because I'm actually introducing a series of videos that I'm going to be creating and uploading, talking about one of the most popular questions we get here as financial advisors, which is how do I help my children or grandchildren become financially well-adjusted adults? How do I help them with those big ticket financial burdens that we typically think of, right? That's saving for college, saving for their first home, and then saving for their eventual retirement. So with those various videos, I'll be talking about different strategies, different accounts that you can open to accomplish those various goals. And naturally, as a part of those different accounts that I will discuss, some of those accounts will be more tax advantageous, some will be less tax advantageous. Some will give you more control over the accounts, and some will give you less control over those accounts. So in those various videos, when you're watching them, if any of them really speaks to you, speaks to your specific situation, or you just have some questions, definitely give us a call, send us an email, schedule an appointment, because what we want to do is there's going to be a lot of different options, but for you, with your personal financial plan, there's probably going to be one that's more optimal than the others. So definitely reach out to us, we'll be happy to help, and I hope you enjoy the videos. So let's jump into our first topic, which is college savings. Throughout the years, there's been a ton of different types of strategies and accounts that you've probably heard of for higher education expenses. Some of those might be UTMA accounts, also known as UTMA accounts, Coverdell education savings accounts, brokerage accounts, and even trust accounts have all been used throughout the years for college expenses. However, what we see more commonly used is another type of college savings account that I'll get to in just one moment. But with those other types of accounts that I mentioned there, the reason that they are not as popular these days really comes down to control, tax changes, right, throughout the years as it pertains to those various accounts, and then just general things like if you're creating a trust account for higher education expenses, creating a trust in general is rather expensive. So is it really worth it when you're already having to save for a higher education expense? So all of those different types of accounts mentioned there, just because I'm not going into a lot of detail about them, doesn't mean that they're completely obsolete. Might work for your specific situation, and we could help you come to that conclusion. However, the one that I'll be moving on to is definitely more popular, and I'll explain why in just a moment. The main player for saving for college expenses these days is called a 529 plan. Within 529 plans, there's really two different versions of it. The first version is called a 529 prepaid tuition plan. So these types of plans are very specific. The prepaid tuition plan, you are prepaying that tuition for a college where you are living in that state currently, you plan on staying in that state, and you plan on having your child also be living in that state upon time of application to an in-state school. So it's very specific, right? There's some limitations there. If you think maybe in a few years you want to move states, or you know that your child is going to want to flee the nest and go clear across the country for college, this plan might not be the best for you. However, there's a lot of people where this would apply to. You know that your family's staying there, you know that your child wants to stay in-state and close to home. This could be a really good option. The most popular version of the 529 plan that we see is the 529 savings account. With this sort of account, you're contributing money into that account. It is growing tax deferred. And if you use the withdrawals for qualified education expenses, those withdrawals are completely tax-free. When I mention qualified education expenses, think of that as tuition, room and board, books and supplies, things along those lines. If you're wanting to buy your kid a really nice car to be able to drive the hour over to college, unfortunately the IRS does not consider that a qualified education expense, but all of the other ones I mentioned, as well as the IRS's website, has an exhaustive list. So aside from that tax advantage, right, growing tax deferred, withdrawing completely tax-free, other advantages are how flexible these accounts are. Let's say one child you're initially saving for your oldest child, second child comes around, first one doesn't end up going to college. You can change the beneficiaries on that 529 plan from your first child to the second child without any tax consequences or penalties, anything along those lines. What that also means is with these 529s, Let's say child you're saving for college ends up having a scholarship, right? Academic scholarship, sports scholarship, anything along those lines. What you're actually able to do, once again, without any taxes or penalties, is take out of that $529 dollar for dollar, however much that tuition would have been without the scholarship, right? So let's say the scholarship is for $50,000 a year, dollar for dollar, you can take out $50,000 without any taxes or penalties for that specific child. So once again, 529 is really flexible compared to some of the other accounts that I had mentioned previously. There are a few disadvantages, or at least like considerations, to think of for 529 plans. With these savings accounts, if you do not use the funds for qualified education expenses, like my fun little car example, not only are you paying ordinary income tax on those withdrawals, you are also paying a 10% tax penalty. So there's definitely some downsides to consider there. Other consideration is just making sure that you are not putting too much into that 529, right? Let's say you have put in $200,000, ends up your child either doesn't end up going to college or it just costs less than we initially thought it would. What a pleasant surprise that would be. But that's just another consideration that you definitely want to think of. So with these 529 plans, as well as the other accounts that I had mentioned earlier in the video, really important to just think about which one of those, what your ultimate goal is with those various strategies. Best course of action is to consult with a financial advisor so that they can really sit down, look at your specific situation, look at how much and what types of colleges that we're looking at for those children, see which one might make the most sense for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first video of this series where we talked about college savings. If you have any questions or you just want to dive deeper into your specific situation based on anything that you learned in today's video, please do not hesitate to reach out to us to schedule an appointment. We would love to dive deeper into your situation to help you out. Have a good one.